I never thought I'd be the one to turn a family barbecue into a showdown, but life has a way of throwing curveballs that hit you right in the gut. My name is Riley Thompson, and just 6 weeks ago, I was riding high as the lead strategist at Frontier Innovations, a tech startup in Denver specializing in sustainable energy solutions for the oil and ranching industries out west. Picture this: wide open skies over the Rockies, boardrooms filled with folks in boots and button-downs, talking about algorithms that could revolutionize water management in arid lands. I had a corner office with a view of the mountains, a salary that let me afford a nice truck, and the satisfaction of knowing my work was making a real difference in places like my hometown. But then the axe fell. Restructuring, they called it, corporate lingo for "we're shaking things up, and you're the odd one out." It stung, especially since I'd poured my soul into building their predictive modeling system from the ground up. Legally, it was all above board. I got a severance package, signed the non-compete, and walked away with my own intellectual property, ideas I developed on my own time, tinkering in my garage after hours.
No sift.
No drama, just me. Moving on. That Saturday, the dry Wyoming wind whipped through the sagebrush as I pulled my Ford F-150 into the gravel driveway of my parents' ranch outside Cheyenne. The old wooden sign creaked. Thompson Ranch Est. 1952. Mom, Linda, had called earlier in the week. Her voice laced with that mix of concern and insistence that brooked no argument. Family barbecue.
Darlin'.
Everyone's comin'. We've missed you. Translation: come let us poke at your wounds under the guise of support. I straightened my denim shirt, the one with the pearl snaps they teased me about last year for being too city, and stepped onto the porch. The scent of grilled steaks and mesquite smoke mingling with the earthy smell of the land. Inside, the great room hadn't changed a lick since I was a kid. Knotty pine walls, a massive stone fireplace, and that long oak table where we'd hashed out everything from cattle prices to heartbreaks. My little sister Brooke was already there, holding court by the kitchen island, her laughter ringing out as she regaled Uncle Buck and Aunt Rita with stories from her law practice in Casper.
Brooke,
3 years my junior, had always been the golden child valedictorian, rodeo queen, now a sharp attorney handling land disputes for ranchers. Riley, Mom enveloped me in a hug that smelled of lavender and worry. You made it. How's the drive from Denver? As if I had a packed schedule these days. Dad, Hank, clapped me on the back, his calloused hands rough from years of wrangling steers. Good to see ya.
Kiddo.
Beer. I nodded, grabbing a cold Coors from the cooler. The crew was all there, Brooke and her husband Chad, a financial advisor who managed portfolios for oil execs, Uncle Buck and Aunt Rita, who ran a feed store in town, their son Cody, fresh out of business school and landing a gig at a Denver investment firm, and Dad's old rodeo pal Silas, with his wife Marlene. 9 of us, crammed around the table on the back deck, overlooking the rolling plains where the sun dipped low, painting everything in hues of orange and gold. We got through the appetizers, chips, salsa, and Mom's famous cowboy caviar, with the usual chit-chat, the drought hitting hard this year, gas prices skyrocketing, Cody's new apartment in the city. I picked at my plate, forcing smiles. Then, as Dad flipped the steaks on the grill, Brooke leaned in with that courtroom tilt to her head. So, Riley, bet you're catching up on all those Western novels you never had time for.
Huh?
No more late nights crunching numbers. The chuckles started low, like thunder rolling in from the horizon. Even Dad grinned as he plated the meat. Chad squeezed Brooke's hand, their little power duo move. Actually, I said, slicing into my steak with steady hands, I've been keeping busy. Dad perked up. Fork paused midair. Job huntin'? Something promising? Brooke's laugh cut like a barbed wire fence.
Small. Sis.
It's been over a month. Tech world's brutal out here in the West. They want young guns.
Not.
Well, you know.
Not what?
Not someone who'd optimized water usage models that saved ranches millions in drought-prone states? The table went quiet. That heavy silence thick as Wyoming mud. I felt their eyes on me. Pity mixed with that schadenfreude families brew up over generations. Poor Riley. Always too high. Landon face first in the dirt. First the bad breakup. Now this. More beer? Mom asked, her voice tight. I smiled, the one I'd honed in high-stakes meetings.
Sure.
It's a celebration. After all. Celebration? Uncle Buck raised a bushy eyebrow. Of what? I lifted my bottle. Family. New horizons. They relaxed. Thinkin' good ol' Riley was just puttin' on a brave face. Little did they know. 3 hours earlier, while they were probably jawing about my downfall over pre-dinner beers, I'd been on a Zoom call sealin' a deal that'd make their ranch earnings look like loose change. But I held my cards close. Revenge ain't about the quick draw, it's about timmin' the shot just right. The steak sat heavy in my stomach as old memories bubbled up like a bad well. Growin' up on this ranch meant livin' in Brooke's shadow. She was the one who won the barrel racing trophies while I buried my nose in books about coding and renewable tech. I scraped through community college before transferring to Colorado State. She sailed into Stanford on a scholarship. When I landed my first big promotion at 28, she was already winning cases at 25. The Thompsons had one spotlight, and it was hers. Remember when Riley wanted to be a pilot?
Entrito circled.
The beer loosening her up. What were ya? 10? You built that model plane and crashed it into the barn. Brooke piled on with fake fondness. Then it was vet school, till you realized it meant dealin' with actual animals, not just spreadsheets. Dad joined in. And that lemonade stand phase? Try to charge us ranch hands extra for premium service. They were rewriting my story. Turning dreams into jokes.
Idea sa calculus. Graduated magna cum laude.
But in family lore, I was the dreamer who fizzled out. At least she stuck with tech, Mom said. I mean for nice but hittin' patronizin'. Even if it didn't pan out this round. This round, like my career, was another failed rodeo run. They forgot I'd bootstrapped my way up. Or how I'd helped Dad optimize the ranch's irrigation with my early models. Cody piped up. My buddy at Chevron's hirin'. Could put in a word. Entry-level stuff. But hey, gotta start somewhere. Chad nodded. Beggars can't be choosers in this economy. I thought back to my split with my ex at 30, Jake. The oil field engineer. They dissected it over brisket. He was too rough around the edges for ya anyway. What they meant was, you need someone who won't mind playing second to a Thompson who can't quite cut it. The talk shifted to their wins. Brooke's big win in a water rights case. Chad's fat commissions. Cody's bonus. I faded into the background, like always after they'd picked my bones clean. You know, Uncle Buck said, pointin' his fork, gettin' let go can be a blessin'. Happened to me at 50, best thing ever. Made me appreciate the simple life. His simple life included Rita's inheritance footin' the bills. Mom agreed. Maybe the universe is sayin' slow down. Try something steady. Like Rita's niece in HR. Good pension. They'd never sung my praises when I was on top at Frontier. Back then, it was something with computers, like my work was too fancy for ranch folk. Then Brooke dropped it casual like, saw on Facebook your ex Jake's engaged. She's a real cowgirl type younger. The deck went still. Even they knew that was low. Good for him, I said even. though I'd seen the pics and knew she was the type to overlook his drinkin' habits. But pettiness wasn't my play. Not yet. Being underestimated your whole life teaches you to bide your time. Every jab was fuel, and I was about to light the match. My phone vibrated, the pattern for big emails. I peeked under the table. Confirmation from Horizon Renewables legal team.
Perfect.
Excuse me, I said, standin', smooth as silk. Gotta take this. Chad smirked. Work call on a Saturday? That's commitment.
Oh.
Wait. I let it hang and stepped off the deck into the twilight, the crunch of gravel under my boots like a countdown. No call, I headed to my truck, the one they'd called flashy when I bought it post-breakup. Inside, I fired up my laptop, logging into the secure portal. Contract stared back, clean, legal, ironclad. 6 weeks back, when Frontier cut me loose. I didn't steal a thing. What I took was mine, algorithms for predictive water mapping I'd coded on weekends, using open-source tools and my own datasets from public USGS reports. No breach. I'd even run it by my lawyer pre-sign-in. Within days, I'd linked up with Alex Rivera, a sharp engineer who'd been restructured out of a rival firm in Salt Lake. Together, we pitched our system to Horizon Renewables, a big player in green energy out of California, looking to expand into Western AG and mining. They bid hard. Our tech promised 300% better efficiency in drought forecasting, vital in places like Wyoming, where water's worth more than gold. The deal, $6.3 million for Phase 1, with escalators that could double it in a year. Signed at 3:15 p.m. Mountain Time, while Mom was likely fretting over the grill setup. I pulled up the recorded Zoom, me, poised in my home office, walking the board through slides. Alex handling the tech Q&A like a pro. And there was Carla Mendoza, Horizon CEO, nodding approval. This is the game changer we've needed for the arid West. I clipped it down to 5 minutes of glory. The pitch, the nods, the e-signatures, that fat number glowing. Saved to a flash drive. Through the ranch house windows, I saw them yucking it up, Dad gesturing wild, probably retelling my kid mishaps, Mom topping off beers, Brooke in the spotlight, her auburn hair catching the porch light like she owned the night. They were so sure of my script. Riley the reacher, the faller. The flash drive felt heavy in my pocket, small, but packin' a wallop. Part of me toyed with driving off, lettin' and learn via the grapevine.
But nah.
They'd open this can of worms. They could watch it squirm. My phone buzzed, Alex. Told him yet? I can't wait for the fallout. About to, I texted. Brace for ego bruises. His reply, egos? They bet against Riley Thompson. Their loss. I grinned. Alex had seen my worth when family hadn't. He taught me, true payback ain't just winning, it's making doubters eat their words up close. I pocketed the drive and headed back. They were divin' into Mom's peach cobbler. Chatter on vacations, Brooke and Chad's Tahoe getaway, Cody's Vegas trip. The kind of flex that screamed, look what you can't swing now. All good, Mom asked as I slid into my seat. Just paperwork, I said. Spoonin' dessert. No rest for the weary, Chad muttered. I ignored it. I and Silas, the venture guy who'd funded half the startups in the Rockies. He'd been quiet, observant like he was scouting investments in family drama. So, Riley, Silas said, cutting through the noise. What's your next move? Consultant? Maybe teach at the community college? Tech can be rough on vets like us. There it was, the polite nod to age and grit in a young buck's game. But he'd handed me the opener on a silver platter. Actually, I said, set in my spoon-down calm. I inked a solid deal this afternoon. But y'all are probably done hearing about my job woes. Nonsense, Mom said, though her eyes said otherwise. We're kin. Well, all right then. I pulled the flash drive, holding it like a lucky charm. Been cooking up something these weeks. Closed the fund-in today. Brooke's eyes sharpened. Fund-in for what? A blog? Etsy Crafts. A cutting-edge system for water optimization in ranchin and minin.
Using AI-driven forecasts.
Her smile froze. But you're right. Not courtroom stuff like your last gig, that easement dispute with the BL. It was a major land rights win, she snapped. I stood. Since Silas asked, and y'all seem so worried about my future. Want to see what I've done with my downtime? They trailed me inside like curious cattle. Settlin' on the leather sofas fastened, Dad's big screen TV, the one for watchin' Broncos games. I plugged in, hit play. The screen lit with Horizon's virtual boardroom. There I was. Command in the room. Droughts cost Western AG billions yearly. Our model cuts losses by 35% via real-time data.
And Rita whispered.
That's our Riley? On screen. Carla praised. Innovative, perfect for the West's challenges. But the kicker, the contract close-up, $6.3 million bold as brass. The room sucked in air like a vacuum. Is that real? Dad muttered. Phase 1, I said. Pause in the vid. Legally mine, my IP. No strings from Frontier. Horizon's rollin' it out across California to Montana. Cody whistled low.
Zan. Cousin.
That's huge. Brooke's face paled. You didn't mention this earlier. Why spoil the fun? Y'all were having such a good time with the jabs. The air thickened. Mom fidgeted. We didn't mean. Sure you did, I said, voice steady. But here's the thing. I ain't here to gloat. This deal? It's proof I can stand on my own. Legally clean. Ethically sound.
No shortcuts.
Silas leaned forward. Impressive metrics. If you need more capital. Appreciate it. I cut in. But tonight's about family, right? Chad shifted. So,
what now?
You rubbin' our noses in it. I met his eyes.
Nah.
I'm Sharon, 'cause despite the digs, y'all are blood. But it hurts. Hearin' your own kin bet against ya. Uncle Buck cleared his throat. We were just teasin'. Kid. Teasin' that stings like salt in a wound, I replied. Growin' up, I felt like the backup act to Brooke's main event. But this is me steppin' into my own light.